Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and yes, I am wearing the same thing as in my last video, because if you didn't see that, if you didn't see it, you also wouldn't notice that I'm wearing the same thing. But anyway, if you didn't see it, what I said is that I currently don't really have time to upload after a schedule. I think this one's still going to go up on Thursday as usual, but that also means that, you know, if I sit down to film, usually I film one video at a time, but right now in the future I might just binge film, you know, film a couple of videos at a time, so you might see me doubling up on outfits or the way I look a lot in the future, because uni is very stressful currently. But anyway, today we're going to have a video that I didn't have in March, and that is a TBR video. Well, I didn't have the video in March, but the TBR of course would have been for April, and this TBR video is for me, obviously. I don't know why I'm rambling right now. Anyway, today is my May TBR. As always, I'm gonna share 5 books with you that I plan on reading in May, plus one non-fiction book. And so yeah, let's get right into it. I actually don't have that much of a strict TBR for May, because I just currently have a lot of books at home, because I started buying books again and not reading them right away that I want to read. So yeah, I might also just see what I feel like reading. But first, let's start with the non-fiction. In terms of non-fiction, in May I want to finish The Capital in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty. I am about halfway through this book, or halfway through the audiobook, because the audiobook is split into 4 parts. I have finished the first 2 parts, I still gotta finish the last 2. And so yeah, I will hopefully finish this in May, but I should be fine since I can read this at ×2 speed, or listen to it at ×2 speed. And so yes, very excited. This is pretty much about what it says. It's about the development of capital into the 21st century. Thomas Piketty is an economic historian, and he starts kind of in Europe in the 18th century, late 18th century, late 1700s, and then looks at the development of capital in Europe and the US, or America, North America, so US and Canada, and then also a little bit Japan, but it kind of also depends where he was able to find the most written down, I forgot what it's called, proof, I don't know, for how capital looked in the different decades and centuries. And yeah, quite interesting so far. And it just really makes you hate capitalism, so that's good. So for fiction books I'm reading in May, let's start with the buddy reads. Let's start with the buddy read that I'm way behind on, and that is the Robin Hobb buddy read that I'm doing with a bunch of friends. Although I think so far only Scylla is on track with Robin Hobb, and the rest of us is just like, whatever. But yeah, I had this on my March TBR already, didn't read it in March, didn't read it in April, haven't finished Assassin's Quest yet, so I'm gonna try to finish Ship of Magic in May, which is the first book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. And this basically is a series following traders from this town who have ships made of magical wood, and if a certain number of a family die on deck of the ship comes alive. And so yeah, there's stuff going on, there's hijinks going on, there's pirates, there's sea adventures. This series I do remember genuinely enjoying the first time I read it, because I have read it before, so we'll see if I'll enjoy it as much the second time around. Next, I have the buddy read for my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries. That book club is all about reading adult high fantasy written by women or genderqueer people, and we buddy read 1 book a month. The middle of the month before that, I upload a poll of 4 books onto Twitter, and you get to decide which book you want to read in the following month. So if you're interested in joining us, I will leave all the links to the Discord and the Twitter down below, and definitely come and join us. And for me, the book that was decided on was The City of Dusk by Tara Sim, which is her adult fantasy debut. It's the first book in a new series, And as far as I remember, we follow like 4 characters, and there's shadow magic and there's necromancy, and that's it. I don't remember anything else. That is really it. So yeah, if you want to join us, definitely do, because yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I did not like the previous book by Tara Sim that I read. Actually, it was her YA debut, I believe, or one of her YA books. So yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see whether I prefer her adult writing a bit more than I did her YA writing. And then the last buddy read I have for me is my most anticipated release, or one of my 2 most anticipated releases for 2022. It's The Discord of Gods by Jen Lyons, which is the 5th and last book in the A Chorus of Dragons series. I am so excited for this. A Chorus of Dragons is a queer adult high fantasy which is all about found family working together, a bunch of queers being stupid as fuck. It's great. It's amazing. I can just highly recommend it. It might take some time getting used to in the first book because the writing is quite experimental. You have this framing device in every book of a story being told and a book being written. There's footnotes and everything. And so yeah, I can still highly recommend it though. I did also host a read along on the Discord of my book club to prepare for the release of this specific book. So if you're still interested in maybe picking up the first book now and you want some people to talk to, you can still join anyway. We're all still active, and I just love seeing people read this series for the first time and falling in love with the characters. So don't worry if the read along is officially over or whatever, you can still join us. You know, I had another book on my TBR for this month, but actually I just remembered that I still have this TBR jar, so my general TBR jar where I just add all the books that I have on my Goodreads TBR, so I don't forget about them. So I think maybe May might be the perfect month to, you know, pull a book from this TBR jar finally for this year, and to see if I'm interested in reading that. If I'm not interested in reading that, I'm just gonna pick the book that I originally had picked for this TBR. But yeah, I think we should do that. So here we have a little book, and let's see which book it is. And it's The Sin Eater by Megan Campisi. I do not remember that book, so we have to go to Goodreads and ask Goodreads what that book is about. Okay, so it's a historical thriller apparently, and I'm just gonna tell you the first paragraph of the summary on Goodreads because it's actually quite long. But it's: a sin eater's duty is a necessary evil. She hears the final private confessions of the dying, eats their sins as a funeral rite, and so guarantees their souls access to heaven. It is always women who eat sins, since it was Eve who first ate the forbidden fruit, and every town has at least one, not that they are publicly acknowledged. Stained by the sins they are obliged to consume, the sin eater is shunned and silenced, doomed to live in exile at the edge of town. So yeah, and this is set in 16th century, or set in a thinly disguised 16th century England. So I think it might go in the direction of speculative fiction. And yeah, we'll see if my bookstore has a copy of this book, and if they do, I might pick it up and I might read this in May. And now, lastly, let's see which series I'm going to continue on in May. This is my series TBR jar. In here I have all unfinished series that are on my shelves. And each month I pick a series to continue on with and sometimes even finish. So this is the series I picked for May. Let's see what it says. It says The Empire Trilogy by Jenny Wirtz. Let me get it. Actually, I have the 3rd book already on my shelves. So the 3rd and last book in the Empire Trilogy is Mistress of the Empire. This trilogy was written by Jenny Wirtz and Raymond E. Feist. The series, I think Raymond E. Feist's name mostly might be on this series because it is set within the world of his Rift War saga. Maybe he wrote more. I don't know. I can just say that when I read the first book, it definitely didn't remind me whatsoever of the other book that I read by Raymond E. Feist, so who knows. But yeah, in this one we follow Mara, whose father and brother died, and so she has to take over as head of her family, and she has to make sure that her family survives, and has become quite savvy in political intrigues and so on, and then also has to navigate politics as a woman in this world that is not very women friendly. So yeah, this is quite a chunker. Well, actually, I would have thought it's longer. It's 660 pages, and I am excited to finish this series. And that was it for this video. That was it for my TBR for May. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. Tell me your thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned in the comments down below. Also, if you wanna buddy read anything aside from the buddy reads, including the buddy reads that I already mentioned, tell me in the comments down below as well. As always, I am very much up for buddy reads. And yeah, with all of that said, I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!